evening and welcome to Cavan TV. I'd like to say thank you to Positive Age for the use of the fabulous TV studio here in Drummondlea, Cavan. Well, this evening we're going to talk mental health. And on a positive note, SOSAD are delighted to announce that they are opening another hub in the Heritage Centre in Mullagh in Cavan. And with me is none other than Wynne, and Christine is the coordinator of SOSAD Ireland, the Cavan branch. Christine, good evening.
Thanks very much, Áine, for the invitation.
Thank you for coming into the studio. Well, we're going to talk a little positive this evening. You've opened another hub.
We have. We're going to open in St Kilian's Heritage Centre in Mullagh. So the plan there is going to be every Monday. We're going to be there. We have 5 therapists ready to rock and roll, so we'll be offering counselling services. But what we're trying to do is, instead of, like, as you had said, a positive, instead of us just kind of being there in situ and waiting for people to come through the door, we are working with our networks. We would sit on the TUSA network and the SIPSI network, and we link in with a lot of the agencies. So we're giving them the opportunity to give us their literature to share and kind of let the people know what exactly is on their doorstep. You know, people are not aware of the amount of organisations, and there's just some great people out there willing to help from all strands of, you know, groups, volunteer workers. There's some statutory groups, statutory bodies, and we want to get that word out in the Mullagh and the East Cavan area that there's a huge amount of agencies willing to help and support.
Now, SOSAD, you have a branch, I know, in Bridge Street in Cavan, a drop-in branch in Bridge Street in Cavan.
Yeah, we have
right? Where else in Cavan are you?
We have our full-time office in Cavan on Bridge Street, as you said, and we have some hours that we offer also up in the Bexcourt Centre in Ballyborough. So we're trying to kind of geographically hit, you know, instead of everyone kind of, as the old phrase goes, having to come to the big smoke, that we can reach these pockets and small villages in a smaller area without having to go to the expense of full-time premises. So it's a starting point, and it's brilliant, and it's great to have the support.
Well, Christine, I'm going to start and to say, like, will you define mental health?
I suppose, well, mental health, it's like any part of the body. You know, you get up in the morning, you make sure everything is still working, but you also have to make sure that the head is still working. There's a misconception that mental health is just unwellness. It's not. We all have.
That.
Yeah.
I thought that. I thought that people who weren't well, they had bad mental health. I didn't know that when you're well, you have good mental health.
That's it. And it's differentiating between what's good and bad. So what's good and bad for me might be different for you. You know, everyone is different. You present 10 people with the same problem, you're going to get 10 different solutions and 10 different answers. So mental health is how at ease you are and how well your brain and your head and all the stuff that's up there is working. The same as physical health, you know, your legs need to be working, your arms need to be working. So your head needs to be ticking over and working and getting you out of the bed. And it's about defining, you know, mental health and stress. We all have to have stress. People think that good mental health is no stress, no worries, no anxiety. You know, it's not. That's normality. That's life. So if we didn't have the stresses of getting up out of the bed in the morning, to have to go to work, to have to get paid, to have to pay the mortgage, you wouldn't get out of bed. So they're everyday stresses that are quite normal, and it's when stuff like that gets out of control and they can't be handled, or life events happen for people that just overwhelms them, that you fall into ill mental health then.
Now, when we break our leg, we're okay to say, I broke my leg, oh, I got my bunion done, whatever. But we have a stigma saying, I've got mental health issues, I'm not in a good place at the moment. There's a stigma there, and maybe it's just that people don't want to talk about it, or maybe people won't even go for help. Sometimes
we would find it's an embarrassment because we're living in a world and a society. Now, thankfully, that thought process is changing, but we're living in a society where you're supposed to be everything to everyone, and you're supposed to have this wonderful life. And when you don't, I think the embarrassment and the stigma of having ill mental health is...
Well, especially mental health.
That people are afraid that someone is going to say, well, what's wrong with you? But you have that, why are you worried about this? Whereas a break in a leg is obvious, it's broken. And again, you know, the pain threshold of a break in the leg is different for everybody too, as are the stresses of life. So we need to be normalising that when you're having a tough day, it's not about locking yourself away, or it's not about, you know, slapping on the happy face. You know, if you're having a tough, difficult day, have your own toolbox at work that you know if going for a walk is going to do it for you, going for coffee downtown reaching out to a friend, whatever it might be. So we need to normalise that you're looking after your head the same way you look after every part of your body.
Okay, to get help. We were speaking earlier, get help. Your tooth begins to ache. Before it gets really bad, you go to the dentist. The same with mental health. Go before it's too serious.
That's it. And the other part of the body that everybody looks after, and if you are told by your GP or somebody that loves you that you have a difficulty with this part of the body that you don't see, you'd be racing, and that's the heart. So nobody sees your heart, but yet if you're told you're liable to have a heart attack or you've blocked arteries or you've whatever, you go to a cardiac surgeon or whoever your referral is without even thinking about it. You're trusting that the professionals are telling you there's something wrong there, even though you can't see it. The same applies to the head.
Okay, yeah, list it out there for folk, anybody out there watching. Where do they go for help?
That's it.
How different people, teenagers, older people, people in hard circumstances, where do people
So
get
we
help?
all like to think that we have this, that everyone lives in, everyone has somebody. That's not always true. Some people live in very busy households and would be the loneliest person in the world. So if you don't have someone within your immediate circle, of course your GP is a linkage. But organisations like SOSAD, free phone numbers 1800 901 909. Ring it, call it. If you don't want to ring and say, hi, I'm Áine from Cavan TV and I'm having difficulties, ring and say, I'm Breda and I live in Timbuktu. It doesn't matter to us who you are.
There is
we
a
don't
professional at the end of that line.
We are all trained, yeah. We have trained support workers, trained SIOs, we call them suicide intervention officers. And from there we have a process. But sometimes people just want to know that someone is listening to them. They just want someone to say, you know what, you're actually okay. That's quite normal what you're feeling. We've heard this before. People always think they're the first person to travel this journey. And believe me, they're not.
Okay, so help. Go for the help. A very sad realisation and a very sad statistic is that Cavan is very high in suicide rates. Now, I hate to say that out loud, but that is a fact, Christine.
Yeah, and that is a fact, and that is a statistic, and there's no harm saying that out loud because we have to. That's what we need to be doing. We need to be talking. We have been in the top 4 counties in Ireland for a large number of years. I wish I had the answer. I don't know.
Why?
There's a huge amount of services out there. SOSAD are one of them. So I don't know why. What we have to keep doing, and when I say we, I don't mean SOSAD, I mean us as a community, as workplace colleagues, as in schools, in sports clubs, everything. We need to be supporting one another. We need to be letting people know that there is nothing that would want you, to take your own life. There's this misconception. People think when people are suicidal and they're thinking of ending their own life, what we hear is they'd be better off without me when they're talking about their family and loved ones. And believe me, of the amount of people that we have met who have been bereaved by suicide, we have yet to hear one person say, yeah, they're right, we were better off without them. So, as I heard one young man talking one day, he said he'd rather receive 1,000 calls from friends than the one call to say somebody has taken their own life. There's nothing in this world. We all have problems and they might not resolve to exactly how you want, but there will always be a solution. And people are only willing and glad to help. Because I do often say to people, put yourself in someone else's shoes. Wouldn't you say, why didn't they come to me? So why would the same not be for you?
But I'm so worried about young men and young women in our county, people we know taking their lives week after week.
Yeah.
It has happened.
Yeah, and that was very, very difficult period.
What can we do to stop it?
We have to
We're
have
having
to
the
keep
conversations.
Yeah, and we have to keep having those conversations. We have to keep telling people that mental health on a bad day is very, very normal.
Are you in national schools?
We're not in national schools, no. But there is that thing is coming through now with, SPE, I think it's called, I can't remember exactly. SPECE, the curriculum, and they are talking about mental health, but we need to be teaching our younger children. We talk about PE, physical activity. We talk about the food dudes when they go to school, and this fruit is good for you and that fruit is good for you. Why are we not saying about your mental health? Whether that's using the emojis, the sad signs or whatever. We don't have to, bombard them with the language of mental health, but most definitely give them something that they can point at to say that they're feeling sad on any given day, and that it's okay to talk to somebody. Like that, go to the teacher, or talk to mum and dad at home, or talk to whoever it needs to be.
Somebody would be able to put you in a position. And there was a caption, not a caption, a slogan or a line out there a couple of years ago. It's okay to say you're not okay.
Yeah. Well, that phrase is a debate, you know. It's okay to say you're not okay, but it's not okay to be not okay. Like, it's not okay. You need to ask for help. The help is there. Nobody wants, I don't want to be sitting with you or anyone else thinking that you're not okay. That's not okay. I want you to say, I need a little bit of help here. And this is going on for me. I don't know what the answer is and I can't find a solution. Can you help me? So somebody who's coming to SOSAD say, and this is where hopefully the Mullagh, you know, the Mullagh hub is definitely going to open those doors. If somebody comes because they're having financial difficulties, okay, I can't write a blank cheque and solve somebody's financial difficulties. We most certainly can be there for the emotional and support that's needed through that, but we pathways to an organisation who can help with the financial difficulties.
Apps or whatever.
That's it, yeah. It's the same if somebody comes with addiction. You know, we pathway and we help with that, because, you know, coming to counselling is not going to, if you have big problems like that, talking about it is not going to make it go away. So there's an element of practicality has to be involved as well. And there is so much stuff out there to help people now, Áine. Honestly, like, if you went looking for it, you would be fascinated by the amount of supports that are there. And we want to teach people that they're there. We want people to learn about their own mental health. You know, 'cause we always talk about looking after everyone else, but we need to look after ourselves.
You are doing this, and the voluntary organisations who get money from charities and everything are doing this. Just briefly, and I don't want to get all political, but do you think that our politicians of the day are like as forward as you in coming to the fore and helping? Do you think they could do more? Are they doing enough? That's what I'm trying to say.
I don't think there's enough money there, to be honest with you. I do think charities like ourselves, and I can only speak for us, you know, our biggest outlay is rent. You know, so maybe, you know, you're talking about idle premises and all of that kind of stuff. They should be getting utilised by organisations, all different kind of organisations. There shouldn't be idle buildings now. You know, somebody owns them. Maybe,
but I mean, in a political statement, I mean, like, are they like, you know, like bringing in little new rules and things like that? You should have time for your mental health, or you should, you know, like time off work if you're not mental health, or do you know what I mean? To make it like, to bring it as part of a recognised illness or something, and then recognised care in the health system.
Yeah, I do. Like, there is healthcare there, but again, there's just not enough of it. That's the thing, and like my thing.
I find this hard to understand, and they're talking about CAPS, you know, not CAPS, but the children's camps is what I'm trying to say. And like, I mean, Kerry was a total disaster, like, you know what I mean, and that's probably the template for the rest of the country. Like, it's probably open to can of worms. Are they doing enough?
I don't think so. I think this inquiry has most definitely opened and shed a light on children's mental health services. Not only the mental health services, all services across the board, but I suppose personally my thing is all of those services, particularly mental health, and we stand by this, and it's the ethos of why we open early and why we stay open late. Mental health is not Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So there's no point in giving, you know, if somebody is trying to hold down a job, you know, keep a family running, keep a roof over their head, and you're telling them that they have an appointment at 3 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon, and there's 10 other people there with the 3 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon appointment, and you're still sitting there at 5. That's a half day's work on for somebody. So mental health needs, I think, to explore outside the 9 to 5, and I definitely think, I'm not talking about emergency care here, I'm talking about acute care, that people can avail of services outside of hours, because actually the resources will show it costs less to look after somebody if they come at the start of their journey than when they come at the crisis part.
That's what I'm saying. Go at the beginning of the pain, not halfway through it.
And again, that's not 9 to 5. That doesn't work for people. And I think that needs to be looked at. That would be, I would love to see that. I'd love to see that extended.
That's what people like you do in SOSAD, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Christine, yeah, I do think I'd like to put more. I'd like more pressure to be put on the government to bring it in, to make it work a bit better at that situation. But, you know, great kudos to SOSAD and organisations who are doing that. And I'd like to say to Ellen, if there's just one person out there tonight just, needs a bit of help, as Christine says, like, it's a gateway to something else. You can start the ball rolling. Christine, if I give you a minute to camera and you made an impassioned plea to anybody out there that's not feeling well, what would you say to them?
I would say that one service doesn't fit all, and that's why, particularly with our charity, you can avail of one-to-one counselling. You can avail of remote counselling, which is either video or phone call sessions. You can avail of a text messaging service that runs from 8 to 12 in the evening time through our website. You can email in. We have Facebook Messenger. So it's not that you have to be coming, as a one-to-one. But again, just reach out. The first thing is asking somebody, I think I'm going mad here because this is going on for me. And it's such a relief. We see people coming in and their shoulders are up here, and when they're leaving, you can actually physically see the difference in them. Reach out for help, ask the question. If you have no one, ring an anonymous phone line. But if you do have someone in your life, please ask them. Yes, is it scary? Of course, but please do it, because they would rather sit across the table from you all night than think that you're thinking about taking your own life.
Well, thank you, Christine. And we'd like to express as well that SOSAD, is it a free organisation? You can give a donation.
It's a free,
if you like.
yeah.
It's a free organisation, and you can give a donation to SOSAD if you like. Well, thank you, Christine, and thanks to you and your organisation and all the folk like you who do go out of the way there to help people. And maybe it's a great breakthrough. The word is getting out there.
It is, yeah, and times are changing, but we just, as I say, we collectively have to just keep talking.
So there you have, folks, and there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that's great. Thank you for watching Christine Wynne from SOSAD and myself this evening on Cavan TV. Have a good evening.